I look forward to them. I contemplate about it. I meditate on it, and that is absolutely Krishna's mercy. To think of even attempting to be really absorbed in trying to meditate on Krishna, trying to do the best we can in our devotional service is absolutely it's incredible mercy. It is something that almost we don't deserve, because that is the way to purchase Krishna. And so it can almost feel as though I don't deserve to be meditating on Krishna so much, with an attempt to try and do some devotional service that will have Krishna running closer toward me. What did I do to deserve such good fortune? But that has been I've been speaking about that as the definition of causeless mercy. Causeless mercy is we don't deserve it. We can't possibly do much to deserve it, to feel worthy. And instead of letting that cripple us and stop us, instead it can inspire enormous gratitude in the heart. That, no, I might not deserve it, but let me try and make my mind and my heart worthy of such immense causeless mercy. So without further ado, Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So today is Ekadashi, and last Ekadashi, which almost feels a little bit like yesterday. It whipped around really fast. It's like, where did all the days go? But I'm really glad about it, because this is our good fortune. Last Ekadashi, we read the glories of that particular Ekadashi. And so there is quite a lot to speak about today, but today we'll be focused on the miracle of Darshan. But I thought also, let's contemplate the glories of this Apara Ekadashi. Let's see what is in store for us. Let's see what the bonus points are. And hopefully it will inspire us within our fasts, either to begin them or to keep it going, depending upon what time zone we're viewing in. And maybe, just maybe, it will inspire us for future Ekadashis. So let's see the glories of Apara Ekadashi. Sri Yudhishthir Maharaj said, which I've said before, is one of my favorite ways that this begins. It is such a tender-hearted beginning. You have family, and sometimes when you really, really want to know something, just go ask your family. In this case, for Yudhishthir Maharaj, his family is Krishna. And so he just has to go and ask his family member. And Krishna is so patient and always ready and willing to speak to Yudhishthir Maharaj. Sri Yudhishthir Maharaj said, O Janardhan Krishna, what is the name of the Ekadashi that occurs during the dark fortnight, Krishna Paksh, of the month of Jesht, May, June? I wish to hear from you the glories of this sacred day of Hari. Please narrate everything to me. So I was just hearing a lecture And Indradyumna Maharaj was speaking about Shri Radha Krishna. And Shri Krishna says something very amazing and poignant. He says, just as the full moon in the month of Jeshta causes huge waves in the Ganga, so does Radha act upon my heart. And the poetry of it all got me, because bhakti is nothing if not the most romantic. And I remember I was sitting, and it was literally just maybe a few hours before this lecture, and I was hearing that line, and I listened to it again and again, just because I thought, that is, how incredible is Krishna? How charming and romantic is he? But what I actually also was thinking was, which month is Jeshta again? I said, I don't have time to look it up, it's okay. And I had read this yesterday, the glories of Ekadashi, in preparation for this lecture, and still my mind had not joined the two together. We are now in this beautiful month of Jeshta. It's like the foremost of months. And just as the full moon of this month of Jeshta causes big waves in the Ganga, so does Radharani act upon the heart of Krishna. Churns his heart, churns up all kinds of beautiful emotions. So I can only imagine and conjecture that as Sri Krishna is speaking to Yudhishthir about anything and everything, I can only imagine that his mind is pulled again and again and again to his own very wonderful beloved Srimati Radharani. How incredible is our Krishna? And I was speaking with Gauravani, and he was saying that there was a lecture from Srila Prabhupada, and they were kind of asking Srila Prabhupada, kind of confusedly, why he would name the deities in Delhi Radha Parthasarathi. Parthasarathi is Krishna driving the chariot of Arjuna, right? It's Parth's charioteer, reciting Bhagavad Gita. What is this Radha Parthasarathi? What pastimes could they possibly have? And I heard that the answer that Srila Prabhupada gave was, do we think that as Krishna was speaking Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, his mind was not fixed on Srimati Radharani? And so I was remembering that just within the first few lines of the glories of Ekadashi, there is the sweetness of Krishna's pastimes everywhere. And that is something very important for me to remember, because it seems as though that sweetness of the Vrindavan pastimes of Krishna is hidden in the early cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. But it's there, if we yearn to see it. Just as we were yearning to connect, and we were going to find a way to connect the sound no matter what, it's there. Where there is a will, there is a way. And if we are yearning to see those sweet Vrindavan pastimes, they will show themselves to us, no matter what we are reading. Even when we are reading the glories of Ekadashi, which look as though, outwardly they appear as though they have nothing to do with the pastimes of Vrindavan and Radha Krishna. But they have everything to do with them, simultaneously. Because where there is Krishna, there must be Srimati Radharani, held within his heart, even if secretly. But the wonderful thing about us devotees is, if we take the time to connect with Krishna, Krishna shows us the innermost workings of his heart, revealing to us the glories of Srimati Radharani, which is always secret, because it is so intimately connected to him. So that is the month of Jeshta, and this is the wonderful poetry and the pastimes of bhakti that were kind of blooming as I was just reading, going, I just was wondering when the month of Jeshta is, so that I could think about that full moon and the full moon of Radharani's love churning up huge waves within Krishna's heart. And here we are, on this blessed occasion, on this most wonderfully auspicious day of Apara Ekadashi, peeling back the layers of these pastimes of bhakti. I love it. And so, Yudhishthira asks, please narrate everything to me. Lord Shri Krishna said, O king, your inquiry is wonderful because the answer will benefit the whole human society. This Ekadashi is so sublime and meritorious that even the greatest sins can be erased by its purity. And we spoke about this last Ekadashi. Can we take this as fact? Yes. It erases everything, as long as we believe that it does. O great saintly king, the name of this unlimitedly meritorious Ekadashi is Apara Ekadashi. Whoever fasts on this holy day becomes famous all over the universe. Simply by devotional service, friends, we have the opportunity to become famous not just on this planet, but all over the universe. I have often recently been giving the blessing to new children, children that have birthdays, etc., that may you do some devotional service that everyone in the universe wants to speak of from now till the end of time. May you perform some devotional service that even Narada Muni wants to speak of. We will become famous by performing devotional service all over the universe. From the lowest planets up to the highest, all over the universe, people will speak of this devotional service. How incredible. All from one day of fasting? Is it possible? How incredible is our good fortune? Even such sins as killing a Brahmin, a cow, or an embryo, blasphemy, or having sex with another man's wife are completely eradicated by observing Apara Ekadashi. O king, people who bear false witness are most sinful. A person who falsely or sarcastically glorifies another, one who cheats while weighing something on a scale, one who fails to execute the duties of his varna or ashram, an unqualified man's passing as a Brahmin, for example, or a person's reciting the Vedas wrongly, one who invents his own scriptures, one who cheats others, one who is a charlatan astrologer, a cheating accountant, or a false Ayurvedic doctor. All these are surely as bad as persons who bear false witness, and they are all destined for hellish punishments. But simply by observing Apara Ekadashi, all such sinners become completely free of their sinful reactions. Warriors who fall from their Kshatriya Dharma and flee the battlefield go to a ferocious hell. I think it is quite apt that he is explaining this to Yudhishthira, who just on the eve of the battlefield of Kurukshetra has a breakdown and also thinks, oh Krishna, maybe I should go to the forest. There are many times where Yudhishthira says, you know what, maybe this is not the way. Maybe I don't need to engage in a mass killing of everyone that I know and love. Maybe I don't need a kingdom based on all of this. I could just live in the forest. And everyone, from Bhishma to Mother Kunti to Krishna to all of his brothers, has to tell Yudhishthira, no, your dharma is to rule. He's thinking, but is my dharma to rule by killing everyone else? It seems a little bit demoniac. I don't want to do this. And so I think it's very apt that Krishna is explaining the doomed nature of a Kshatriya who flees the battlefield. But, O Yudhishthira, even such a fallen Kshatriya, if he observes fasting on the Apara Ekadashi, is freed of that great sinful reaction and goes to heaven. That disciple is the greatest sinner who, after receiving a proper spiritual education from his spiritual master, turns around and blasphemes him. Such a so-called disciple suffers unlimitedly, but even he, rascal though he be, if he simply observes Apara Ekadashi, can attain to the spiritual world. Whoa! So not only is someone freed from that sin, freed from the suffering, but is now given the position of being elevated to the spiritual world. Krishna is ready to receive us. Krishna is ready to bless us. Krishna is ready to reestablish the perfection of our lives. And I say reestablish because as part and parcel of Krishna, we were already perfect. We allowed some other things to come in and muddy the perfect waters of our heart. But Krishna is ready to reestablish that perfection at any moment. At the drop of a dime, he is ready to wipe the slate clean again just for us. And somehow, sometimes, our mind will find any excuse not to allow Krishna to do it. Why should I fast on Ekadashi? I would rather do anything else. Last Ekadashi, we heard of Drishta Buddhi, and he was suffering. And he said, "Oh Lord, oh sage, please give me some way to end my suffering, but don't make it too difficult." And this is us. This is our mind. Our mind says, "Can you find some way to end the suffering? But I don't really want to do too much." Really? You want me to fast on Ekadashi? I have to restrict my eating and restrict my sleeping and sometimes not cut my hair or my nails and all these things. And there's so many things that they come up in. It's like one restriction after another. Why? Shouldn't I just be able to do whatever I think is right? And Krishna is ready to receive us, making loophole after loophole, assuring us, comforting us, that even if you have done the most abominable action, if within your heart you are truly repentant and all you can do is fast on this Ekadashi, Krishna says that's perfect. Done. It's all I needed. We make it so difficult. It could be simple, but we make it so difficult. I want to renounce the fear that makes my life difficult. The fear that says, no, I can't surrender to Krishna. No, I can't give my life to Krishna. What if he turns around and abandons me? What if I'm not worthy of it? What are all these things? But Krishna is not concerned with any of it. So let's see what else this Apara Ekadashi is willing to grant us. Listen, O king, as I describe to you further glories of this amazing Ekadashi. The merit attained by one who performs all of the following acts of piety is equal to the merit achieved by one who observes Apara Ekadashi. Bathing 3 times daily in Pushkar Kshetra during Kartik, bathing at Prayag in the month of Magh, when the sun is in the zodiac of Capricorn, rendering service to Lord Shiva at Varanasi during Shivaratri, which, let me tell you, it's almost like a once-in-a-lifetime thing. You know, these are things that some of us may never actually get to perform. This is tapasya that we will never get to do. But all of this can be obtained simply by fasting today. Offering oblations to one's forefathers at Gaya, bathing in the sacred Gotami river when Jupiter transits Leo, having darshan of Lord Shiva at Kedarnath, seeing Lord Badrinath when the sun transits the sign of Aquarius, and bathing at the time of a solar eclipse at Kurukshetra, and giving cows, elephants, and gold there in charity. All the merit one gets from performing these pious acts is gained by a person who observes the Apara Ekadashi fast. Also, the merit attained by one who donates a pregnant cow along with gold and fertile land is attained by one who fasts on this day. In other words, Apara Ekadashi is an axe that cuts down the fully matured forest full of trees of sinful deeds. It is a forest fire that burns sins as if they were kindling firewood. It is the sun blazing before one's dark misdeeds, and it is a lion stalking the meek deer of impiety. Wow. Krishna is very poetic, I must say. My Lord is so poetic. Therefore, O Yudhishthir, whoever truly fears his past and present sins must observe Apara Ekadashi very strictly. One who does not observe this fast must be born again in the material world like one bubble among millions in a huge body of water, or like a small ant among all other species. Therefore, one must faithfully observe the sacred Apara Ekadashi and worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Trivikram. One who does so is freed of all his sins and promoted to the abode of Lord Vishnu. O Bharat, for the benefit of all humanity, I have thus described to you the importance of the holy Apara Ekadashi. Anyone who hears or reads this description is certainly freed from all kinds of sins, O best of saintly kings, Yudhishthir. Thus ends the narration of the glories of Jyesht Krishna Ekadashi or Apara Ekadashi from the Brahmanda Purana. This is Krishna. This is our Lord. And so I wanted to speak about that just because it is Ekadashi. Look at all of the glories. Look at what we are receiving just from observing a voluntary fast on this day and offering our hearts to Krishna. All we have to do is faithfully observe this fast. Do what we can. Chant a little extra. Restrict our eating a little bit. Srila Prabhupada gave us the caveat, just no grains, no beans, that's all. There are so many more strict ways to fast on Ekadashi, but Srila Prabhupada has made the bridge for us. And so this is causeless mercy. Imagine, we would not have even known what good fortune was awaiting us had it not been for Srila Prabhupada. Had it not been for his most compassionate nature. Had it not been for such a venerable Vaishnav. Such a giving, pure-hearted Vaishnav who was thinking of the sorrow of the entire world as their own. And what is that sorrow? That sorrow is that we are all suffering. No matter what, young, old, we are all suffering. Miseries of the mind and body. Miseries from other living entities. Miseries by material nature. We are all suffering. I was speaking with Nandi, who is my daughter, yesterday, and she's 12. And she was telling me about some mental anguish. And I said, you know, everyone thinks that it will be better for someone else. Everyone thinks it would be better if I just had, if I just was, if it would be better. And I said, that's the trick. The mind tries to tell us it'll always be better if we could just change something, tweak something, adjust something. But the real adjustment is one of the heart. It's not going to be better for anyone else. Really, what makes it better is Krishna. What makes it better is remembering I am a soul. And so, because Krishna was always willing to speak with Yudhishthir, there's a famous quote. Srila Prabhupada says, Krishna is eager, willing, waiting to speak with you. Krishna has arrived in his Archa Vigraha form, the deity form, just to speak with you. This is possible. We just have to make ourselves ready, qualified now to speak with Krishna, to hear from Krishna. Krishna was always willing to speak with Yudhishthir and tell him anything he needed to know. This is possible for us and the deity. This is the miracle of Darshan. Krishna is waiting. Krishna has appeared specifically for us. Can we accept that mercy? Can we accept this miracle? Srimad Bhagavatam, because this is a Srimad Bhagavatam lecture series, Canto 3, Chapter 29, Text 16 says, the devotees should regularly see my statues or murtis in the temple. touch my lotus feet, and offer worshipable paraphernalia and prayer. He should see in the spirit of renunciation from the mode of goodness and see every living entity as spiritual. Purport. Srila Prabhupada says, temple worship is one of the duties of a devotee. It is especially recommended for neophytes, but those who are advanced should not refrain from temple worship. There is a distinction in the manner a neophyte and an advanced devotee appreciate the Lord's presence in the temple. A neophyte considers the Archa Vigraha, the Murti of the Lord, to be different from the original personality of Godhead. He considers it a representation of the Supreme Lord in the form of a deity, but an advanced devotee accepts the deity in the temple as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He does not see any difference between the original form of the Lord and the statue or archa form of the Lord in the temple. This is the vision of a devotee whose devotional service is in the highest stage of bhav, or love of Godhead, whereas a neophyte's worship in the temple is a matter of routine duty. Temple worship is one of the functions of a devotee. He goes regularly to see the deity nicely decorated, and with veneration and respect he touches the lotus feet of the Lord and presents offerings of worship such as fruits, flowers, and prayers. At the same time, to advance in devotional service, a devotee should see other living entities as spiritual sparks, parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. A devotee is to offer respect to every entity that has a relationship with the Lord. Because every living entity originally has a relationship with the Lord as part and parcel, a devotee should try to see all living entities on the same equal level of spiritual existence. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, a Pandit, one who is learned, sees equally a very learned Brahmin, a Sudra, a hog, a dog, and a cow. He does not see the body, which is only an outward dress. He does not see the dress of a Brahmin, or that of a cow, or that of a hog. He sees the spiritual spark, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. If a devotee does not see every living entity as part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, he is considered Prakrita Bhakta, a materialistic devotee. He is not completely situated on the spiritual platform. Rather, he is in the lowest stage of devotion. He does, however, show all respect to the deity. So Srila Prabhupada is giving us the importance of seeing not only Krishna, but the parts and parcels of Krishna, which are all of us, everyone. And Lord Shiva himself says within the Srimad Bhagavatam, within the Rudra Gita, that, here we are. Within the Rudra Gita, Lord Shiva asks for a benediction from the Supreme Lord. My dear Lord, you are the topmost of all bestowers of all benediction, the oldest and supreme enjoyer amongst all enjoyers. You are the master of all the world's metaphysical philosophy, for you are the supreme cause of all causes, Lord Krishna. You are the greatest of all religious principles, the supreme mind, and you have a brain which is never checked by any condition. Therefore, I repeatedly offer my obeisances to you. My dear Lord, you are the supreme controller of the worker, sense activities, and results of sense activities, karma. Therefore, you are the controller of the body, mind, and senses. You are also the supreme controller of egotism, known as Rudra. You are the source of knowledge and the activities of the Vedic injunctions. My dear Lord, I wish to see you exactly in the form that your very dear devotees worship. You have many other forms, but I wish to see your form that is especially liked by the devotees. Please be merciful upon me and show me that form, for only that form worshipped by the devotees can perfectly satisfy all the demands of the senses. And then Lord Shiva goes on to describe the beautiful and miraculous form of the Lord. This is the glory and the miracle of Darshan. What are we seeing when we see the deity form of the Lord? Are we seeing that form which is the embodiment of all prayers? Are we seeing that form that has listened to countless wishes, to countless stories, from countless souls and countless hearts? Are we seeing that Lord which has a glance that is cooling, a glance that can wash over us and give us all comfort, all assurance, all mercy? Are we seeing the Lord with hands that are reddish like lotus flowers or coral? Hands that can pass over our lives and bless us? Or do we simply see the material that the deity is made of? Are we seeing the Lord who is not stationary, who is moving, walking, talking, breathing, communicating with us? Or do we simply see a stationary Lord? Have we looked past the stationary form of the Lord? Are we seeing the deity at all? How many times do we go into the temple and not bother to take darshan? My mother was very, 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 very intense about that. She would say, how can you go into someone's house and not say hello to them? It would seem rude. It's just bad manners. So at least you go into Krishna's house and see him. Receive his mercy. Because the miracle of darshan is not only that we are seeing Krishna face to face, but that the Lord is transmitting his glance onto us. That glance is healing. It is life-giving. My sister and I were speaking about them many, many times, that the Lord casts his glance over others and brings them back to life. He does that with demigods in the 8th canto during the churning of the ocean. He does it with cowherd boys time and again. They died several times, and he glanced over them and brought them back. Brings them out of the mouth of Aghasur, and he glances over them. They come back to life. They die from drinking the poisonous waters when Kaliya was in the lake of the Jamuna. He glances over them, brings them back to life. Are we allowing Krishna's life-giving glance to wash over us? Or are we like countless memes on the internet where we're suffering? We think, I'm so lonely. I feel so alone. No one is there to love me. And then Krishna says, let me glance over you. And I say, no. And I run the other way, and then I think, why doesn't God love me? Why hasn't God answered my prayers? I have been yearning for the affection of the Supreme Person, and he refuses to give it. And then my Lord says, just come see me. Fix your mind on me. Offer your prayer. Just think of me. I will give you all of the affection you could ever want. Krishna says, I'm mother, father, grandsire, I'm everything. I will give you the affection of every family member you've ever wanted. I say this because yesterday was Mother's Day, you know? So I will give you the affection of every family member you could have ever wanted. And we think impossible, improbable. Not only would Krishna as God be willing to do that, but I don't even deserve it, so there's an added factor. All I have are obstacles. But Krishna will not allow anything to stand in the way of that mercy. He wants to give it. Krishna actually desires to give us his mercy. All we have to do is open our palms, open our arms, open our hearts, accept it. So this is part 1 of the miracle of Darshan. We'll have to have a part 2 of the miracle of Darshan, where we speak about these deity forms and how they manifest and sometimes self-manifest. And we'll dive into that on the next Ekadashi, which, if I am not mistaken, is Pandava Nirjal Ekadashi. So it'll be a really special one. We will start with the prayers of Queen Kunti. Because why not, you know? We're celebrating our sons. Why not? Why not start with the prayers of Queen Kunti and delve deeper into the miracle of Darshan? So that was a precursor to whet your appetites. The Ekadashi appetites, right? This is the appetite that we should be churning up Because just as the full moon during the month of Jeshta causes big waves in the Ganga, so does Sri Radha act upon the heart of Hari. If we remember nothing else, it is let our hearts be churned, let those waves come up. Let it happen. Thank you so much, dear, dear devotees. Thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for sending good wishes. Thank you for allowing me to express my heart in such a long-winded way.
Can everybody hear me?
I like the whispering. It makes me feel like we're in a secret.
I missed that.
I said I actually like the whispering. It makes me feel like we're in on a secret.
I'm sorry.
I love it. No, it's great.
Would anyone like to ask an intelligent question? Andrea.
Hare Krishna, Chittagopi. I have a question that I haven't been able to find anybody to give me an answer that's not like, oh, go look at the deity worship website. Like, since you're, second generation, and you know a lot of people who have had deities for their lifetimes and maybe have even left their bodies and had deities, like, what happens to deities when a devotee leaves their body? Like, it's just hearing you talk about the deities and the worship, and I was looking at our deities as you were speaking, and the first thing that popped into my head, I don't know why, was like, what's going to happen to them when my husband and I leave our bodies? We don't have children. Like, most people do have children, so I'm assuming do they take care of them? Like, what happens? I know it's like a weird practical question, but I'm just very curious.
Yeah. I feel like those weird practical questions deserve weird practical answers. And my answer is put it in your will. as a valuable family member, if you want them to be cared for, you want them to be given to a specific person, put it in your will. Because it's like what does happen. But the deities of Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami are in the temple at Radha Damodar Mandir in Vrindavan. We see there are so many deities. The deities of Bhaktivinoda Thakur go on pilgrimage. They arrive in Vrindavan every Kartik. The deities of so many different people. There are so many temples that house the deities of those who have left. And then there are so many different pastimes of a devotee has left and then they enter into the body of a particular deity. Right? We even hear within Janava Mata, I think she entered into the deity of, was it Tota Gopinath? But we hear so many examples. Mirabai entered into the deity of Dwarkadish. Like, there's so many. So it is a very practical thing. What happens? Krishna is still there. Who is in charge of worshiping my Krishna? Make those arrangements. Ask Krishna, what do you want? Where would you like to go? And it's not necessarily morbid to think of. Like, sometimes we can think, thinking about this end of life thing seems morbid, but no, it shows Krishna, we care. You are a member of my family. I've often thought about it. I'm like, my Anantadev, my Sheila, he's my all in all. Well, what happens, And ultimately, I have to ask him what he desires. Like, you came here on your own. You came here of your own accord. And so now what will happen? Because I've begged him and lovingly told him he's not allowed to leave me before then. I will also just expire. But but after that moment, then what does happen? And so it is a very practical question to ask, and it's such a simple answer. Speak to Krishna. Put it in a will. Really, speak to the people. My mom, my family, we've done that. We have, lovingly called dibs on certain deities that my mom has. We're like, it's okay, I'll take care of this one. And somebody else said, we'll take care of these ones. Like somebody else, we'll take care of these ones. I'll lovingly take care of these. So we as a family, these are our family members. There is a wonderful deity. And devotee was saying, you know, who will perform my last rites? I don't have children. The deity said, I'll do it. No problem. I'll perform the last rites. Now will you please give up your anger toward me? Because they had lost their child. They were mad at Krishna. How could you? Now what will happen? He said, Krishna said, I'll do it. Now please give up your anger and at least feed me again. And they did. And they still celebrate it. And so the deity on that particular day, celebrating the disappearance of that great Vaishnava, the deity does not wear hair as though he's shaved his head. The deity holds kusha grass, dresses in all white, very somber situation, but our deities are waiting to interact with us. Our deities are willing to become part of our family. And Srila Prabhupada has said this. This home worship is family worship. It is not so strict as temple worship because these deities are family members. And so for us, our deities in our home growing up were always kind of in a prominent area in the house. We were never allowed to kind of forget that they were there. They're going to be there, right where we are. And it reminds me that, no, Krishna is here. Krishna is a part of these conversations. Krishna is a part of what is happening in the family. Even though sometimes there are arguments. But when we read Bhagavatam, there's so many examples of arguments. So many examples of family life, and Krishna is right there. So he is not a stranger. He's not like foreign to these concepts. So I would encourage, think about it, write it down, journal it, ask Krishna, put it in a will, just as they say in Back to Godhead, you know. If you've ever read the end of Back to Godhead, they're like, you can put Back to Godhead in your will, you know. You can still donate after. And I was like, that's really cool. You know, you can make a legacy of supporting Srila Prabhupada's movement. And so we should be making a legacy of deity worship, a legacy of our relationship with Krishna. I hope that answered your question.
Your answers always go beyond the question, Shila Gopi. I was thinking, what deity am I into? And I was thinking, what a Muladhar. So I can keep coming to class.
And how beautiful is that to really know these are the lords of my heart. These are the lords of my heart. I want nothing else than to just serve them with everything I've got. How incredible. And so I commend you for having a Lord of your heart. There are so many people who don't. And I always feel a little bit sad. So, my dear friend, I am commending you this day for recognizing and actually speaking that this is the Lord of my heart. We are proclaiming and claiming the Lords of our hearts this day.
Belong to Krishna. Okay, it's Darshan time. Turn your cameras on, please.
Jai Ho Shri Radha Murlidhara Shri Gaurachandra Ki Jai. The miracle of Darshan. What's amazing and simple is that all we have to do, Srila Prabhupada says, is see and express how nicely dressed is Krishna. It is as simple as that, and that is devotional service. How beautiful. Jai. Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Jai Shri Radha Murlidhar ki Jai.
Jai. Okay, we can take one more intelligent reflection or a question. Let's do it. Bhima Prabhu, are you entering a deity or just leaving? You entering the van or maybe a dog?
I was hoping that when I was paying obeisances to the deities while driving, I'd run into a telephone pole, and then that would be my way back to Godhead. I was told that's the easy way.
Good, Bhima Prabhu. Bhima Prabhu is joking. Please don't imitate Bhima Prabhu. Don't imitate him.
My hands are off the wheel.
Put them back on.
Taking a corner. Holy smokes.
Bhima.
I would like to say one thing. I have never been able to obviously see Krishna do the things that Achyuta Gopi says that we should all be able to do, eventually, of course. But I can certainly see how wonderful the pujaris are, those who take the time every day to make the garlands, each flower, each petal that they fold and push through the needle, every dress that they wrap and secure, every flower arrangement, every ladu that is on the offering plate. I can't see Krishna, but I can certainly see the love of the devotees. And then I get to meet these devotees and I say, wow, these are people who are so intelligent and so suave and beautiful, and yet they are giving their time, major portions of their time, to serve Krishna. So there must be something in it. And so I'm sort of like following behind. What is it that inspires them to spend this time making the deity look so beautiful? What is it that's in their heart that allows them to be still enough to string a garland and to show up to class? Hare Krishna.
I agree. And I was thinking, because as you were speaking earlier, Gorsharan Prabhu was adjusting a few things on Murlidhar. He was adjusting a flower in his turban. He was adjusting a curl that was kind of in his eye. And that, it's so personal and so beautifully personal. Really thinking, oh my Lord, wait, I don't want your hair to be in your eye, because we all know how annoying that is. Right? You got one hair and it's like poking you in the eye, and all day you're like trying to rub it and get it out. It doesn't work. And here we are so eager. Wait, let me just fix Krishna's hair. Let me just move this one strand. Let me just make sure it's perfect. My mother would spend so long arranging each of Govinda Dev's curls. And it was almost like a signature. I would know she would dress because I would look and every curl was just individually placed, which is a lot. And that's love. That is love. Indradyumna Maharaj was saying that love is in the details. And our dear Shri Vilas Prabhu says that just as the Vanara monkey soldiers were walking into a dark cave and they were a little bit afraid, but Hanuman went first. And then they all grabbed onto each other's tails, following Hanuman. is that sometimes in devotional life, we can't come to the standard. But we might have faith in somebody who has faith in somebody who can. And we just grab each other's tails and walk through that dark cave, trying to get to the faith at the end of it. So I do believe that is absolutely the proper way, Bhima Prabhu, that you're saying that, maybe I'm not seeing it, but I'm looking at these devotees who are, and I can have faith in them because there's something there that is pulling them to dedicate so much of their lives. And every time I've seen a pure devotee leave this planet, I think, no, there's something to this Krishna consciousness. Because every time they are so fixed, they are giving everything of themselves to Krishna consciousness, and it makes me realize and remember there's something here. I can't walk away because there's something here and I have to figure out what it is.
Do you think Adi takes time to adjust the curls on his head?
It is, it's true.
Nice. Okay, wonderful class. I don't even know who is more poetic, Achyuta Gopi or Bhima. They're both so poetic. It's coming from Krishna. Bhima Prabhu, I'm grabbing onto your tail. To your curls.
Right here, there's my tail. And my curls.
Okay. Okay, have a wonderful Ekadashi, everybody. Thank you for tuning in so regularly. That Achyuta Gopi beautiful class. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Haribol.